It's been a while. It's Coffee with Chris once again with our favorite coach to talk to. Uh, Thank you so much for joining me, Coach Lowery. With me, it's been how long since we last spoke or done a Coffee with Chris?
It's been a while. It has definitely been a while. Definitely been missed. I think it's something great for not only for Kansas State, but for our fan base and for our talk about our players and just to talk about purple and white. So and the excitement that brings.
Exactly. I mean, this is the first time too we've done this virtually. Usually we meet up somewhere like Bourbon and Baker, one of those fine
Right.
establishments. But this time we got to do it this way. Maybe next time we see each other in person. But I guess let's start like kind of. I want to start like the final game in Bramlage this season, X's final game, because it's been so long since we talked. Let's talk about the stuff and how the season ended and what it was like for X in his final game and how he showed out for the fans.
Well, the biggest thing is, what a way to go out, as a senior and a guy who's literally in all the record books, like Xavier is. Xavier's in all, he's just all over the record books, whether it's scoring, rebounding, minutes played, games played, wins. He's just – I was so happy for him to see him play that way.
Yeah.
And you always want to go out on a win. Your last game as a senior, your last game at home, and just so thankful for the fans that did stick with us and stick through it. And it was a tough time, but that was a great night and a great time, and it was a good win.
And then, of course, you go on to the Big 12 tournament where, I mean, you guys end on a win. So what are the feelings after X, after that senior game for X and Bramlage, going into that Sprint Center and, I mean, ending on a win because of the crazy, circumstances that happened in our world?
Right. We got a chance to really – and we actually played well. We did a lot of good things. We really played how we expected to play all year, control the tempo and dominate defensively and really compete at a high level and have a lot of people contribute. And that was the good thing. And you very rarely get to end on a win. In college basketball, the only time you get to do that is when you win the national championship. So I think with the experience with COVID and seeing how that had, made the world call a timeout.
Yeah.
It made the world stop, and it made the unfortunate side of it is, you feel so sorry for seniors, so sorry for people that didn't get to actually finish their career on their own terms. It was cut short, and it's not only our sport; it's the spring sports. As far as college athletics concerned, completely wiped out. No seniors got a chance to finish their seasons or start their seasons, and then with no end in sight. That being that a lot of the spring sports, so seniors are just done, and that's the unfortunate side of anything. And my heart goes out to those families and those players, and to our players who didn't get a chance to finish.
No doubt. I mean, that is tough for guys like that. But, I mean, and since then, the virus has only ramped up all the things going on in this world. So what has life been like in Manhattan for the squad and for you coaches?
Well, I've been in Manhappiness the whole time. So, we didn't know what was happening. So we go home thinking that, okay, we'll probably have a chance to get back out and recruiting. This goes away in a couple of weeks, Then we get the stay-at-home order, and it turns into something different. And, it was very – we were on the phone with our own players so much it was almost like recruiting them again.
Mm-hmm.
It was – but it wasn't. It was just life talk. Like, what are you doing? How are you? And it was the fear of the unknown with our guys. And it wasn't always about when you get to come back. And I think that's the one thing that trying to promote, like, we don't care when you come back. We care that you're safe.
Mm-hmm.
These calls are important because we want to make sure your family's okay, you're okay, and it stays that way. So the basketball side was secondary, for us as far as, worrying about our own players.
Yeah. And how are those players? What have they been up to? What did you guys – obviously you said you talked to them, but since then they've been in MHK. Some of the returners have been back in MHK, right? along with Celta Miguel. So what has that been like for them?
It's been, going outside, like doing old school stuff, shooting at, in a park, like when that's allowed, like, it's weird. Like you don't know whether you can go outside and play. And that's,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd ever experience that in my lifetime. As a kid growing up, play was everything. And now you're very worried about playing outside. A lot of them doing a lot of dribbling, walking around outside. A lot of them are running and jogging and doing stuff to try to get in shape, push-ups, sit-ups. It's the old way before basketball became big TV business. Kids went home for the whole summer, and then they came back in the fall. Practice started on October 15th. Now it's it's so different. You can work dudes out in the summer, the whole summer, and you can have them for the whole summer in summer school. So it's been almost a blast from the past, going back to the old days when guys were at home for most of the summer, and then when they showed up, it was fall semester.
All right, so one more question on the virus, Coach. I got how has it affected you coaches and how you recruit during this time?
Well, I think the biggest thing it's done is it's really made us focused on using relationships with other people. We've gotten kids from other coaches, high school, AAU, really focused in on guys who run scouting services, trusting them, and it's just a kind of a field thing. Because you got huddle, there's so many other avenues to watch whole games, and we've asked people to don't send us highlights, send us whole games, so we can actually watch your whole game and not all the shots you make, which are all special. When you get a highlight tape, everything goes in, every dunk gets made, and but it's not realistic. So we just want to watch the player play basically in himself.
I guess okay. Now let's move on. Let's talk more about the team and stuff. So I'm going to list them all off just for the people out there, just so they can keep track. Altogether, we saw Sean Williams, Cardi, Levi Stocker, Davis Sloan, James Love, Nigel Shad transfer away, while Mack and Pearson graduate, with the additions of signees Nigel Pack, Celta Miguel, Luke Kazuki, Davion Bradford, Siri Lewis, and the transfers coming in Rudy Williams, Carlton Lingard, and Casey Iziagu. Am I missing anyone? And then you have obviously the other returners of Monty, Antonio. So what is it? Have you had a team like this with the turnover that you've had? And was some of it based on, obviously guys wanted to transfer, but how much of it was the season that was, and thinking about how you have to look for the future and start building up a more of a different team?
I think the number one thing is when you list the guys, you also got to list Cartier, Jada, James Love as graduates too.
Yep.
Because they graduated as well. When you look at the other guys who left, like the biggest thing is you want people who want to be a part of Kansas State.
Absolutely.
And you can't let one setback deny that. We didn't have a great year, but that's no reason not want to be a part of the grand scheme of this thing. Because we signed great players, that wanted to be here, wanted to be a part of it, and we're excited about them. So when you move forward, it's not about like who left, it's about who wanted to be here. And being here means that they're obviously want to help you win and get back to where it needs to get. We've done it before. We've had a big class. Dean and Barry and Cam were part of a big class that came in, and they did okay. So we're looking forward to getting our hands on some new guys, as well as the returners, because the three sophomores are back as well, along with Mike and Girl. So what we want as a staff is to get back to playing the right way, playing hard, playing for each other. And really the blueprint is set, and the blueprint is good. You just got to follow it. And when you play that way, success comes, happiness comes, happy fans come. But I think the one thing that our fans are going to really enjoy with this group, number one, they're going to have their big size. We have some big size human beings back in our program, but we also have some very gifted guards. And, the excitement level for this group and how they've carried themselves, knowing that there's a lot of pressure on them, especially the high school kids. They've done a great job of carrying themselves the right way, and they're approaching the right way, knowing why they came here and knowing what's ahead and what's expected of them.
Obviously you've talked a lot about the signees before in the past on our show and stuff like that. But I guess let's talk a little bit more about them and then dive into the newer guys. What has it been like for Celta Miguel to be on campus, with the returners so soon, sooner than the other signees? What's it been like for him?
Well, Selton Miguel has two issues. Number one, why he had to come. Number one,
Yep.
he's not from the United States, and the other thing is Corona. So if he did leave and go home, he wouldn't be able to come back,
Okay.
and so that's a double-edged sword for him. And so for him to be able to come in May in the Maymester and to be able to take a class and get going
Yep.
was huge for him because he can't just go home. It's a little longer for him to get there, and obviously with the coronavirus, once you leave the country, it's really hard to get back in. And and we didn't know when that would be for him, so we decided to keep him in the States and really just bring him and start him off in the family right away.
Absolutely. So the other signees are all coming in this week. What do you expect with them coming in? Obviously, we saw the new guys coming this last year, but now you got a whole group of them coming in.
Yeah, the beauty of it is, even though they're coming, it'll be all voluntary stuff.
Yep.
We won't be able to put our hands on them, but they'll be able to get acclimated with the college life. And the one good thing is that we didn't jump the gun and just bring them all right away, just to ensure safety. We were really trying to find that happy medium of when to bring them, but not bringing them too soon, but still trying to bring that camaraderie in the team. That team aspect that you get, and it's so invaluable in the summer, still trying to find where that was. And I think Coach did a good job of really holding back, pulling back, and just seeing where that would be for our guys. And, once they get going, we still haven't been cleared to do anything with them. They'll be able to voluntarily shoot on their own and, like very small groups, maybe two at a time. Not sure of the protocol completely, but we know that a lot of it will be with roommate oriented. If you're with that guy, that's who you're going to be with in the other things that you might take part in. But again, we're totally worried about safety first with our guys, and that's what our focus is, and really keeping them safe, and that's the number one thing.
So is that rule an NCAA rule though as well, saying that you can't do these activities with them, or is that a Big 12 rule, or what is that rule?
It's both right now because not everybody can come back, so it's it's one of those deals where we're very fortunate that could happen for us. So you don't want any unfair advantages for anybody. So what I think is great. I think it's good for us to not rush back into it and have all those guys together and running around. And I think it's good that they come back and we continue to slow it down and keep it at a pace where we can maintain their health and maintain their focus at the same time.
And it's like you said, it affects every program, so everyone's on the level playing field of all the rules that apply. But how much is this going to affect newcomers this year compared to, you got to get Dejuan, Antonio, and Monty working out early last year. So it's so much different this year and how you can get a handle on it. Obviously, it'll be the same for every school, but how much different will that be for newcomers?
Well, the one thing, this whole having everybody the whole summer is not very old. I mean, it's not a very old concept. And plus, college basketball used to start on October 15th, used to be Midnight Madness.
Yeah.
And a lot of great teams started on October 15th. That was our date in college and back in the early 90s. And even up into the early 2000s, it was still October 15th. So, I think sometimes we can get ahead of ourselves and want to rush back to something that we feel is needed. But like I said, guys used to never go to summer school and still had great careers, great teams, and you can still get a lot done. And sometimes as coaches, the misconception is I got to be doing something all the time really gets in the way of just spending time with your kids and really making sure that they're safe like we have to right now. And I'll keep saying it again, we got to make sure that they're safe, number one.
A lot of new additions on the squad, but also a new addition on the staff. First, talk about what it was like to what you're losing in a guy like Brad Korn, obviously getting the head coach position for SEMO, but then what you're bringing in with a guy like Shane Southwell and what he means to K-State.
Well, I mean, what you lose in Brad is somebody who's us. But you're gaining somebody who's that same way. But Brad obviously is very valuable because of he's experienced. He's a traveled coach, meaning he's not just been in one place and learned one way. He's worked for different guys. And, he's a good basketball coach. He's we call a ball coach. He's a guy who loves the basketball side of coaching, which is a thing. You know what I mean? And it's if you love hoop and you still love playing, and he still loved playing with our guys, and every day he challenged somebody. I think our guys are going to miss that more than they realize of playing Coach Corn one-on-one before practice. But you lose a friend and somebody who you watch grow up, and obviously you're happy for him and his family. He's got a chance to be a head coach, and going from, I first met him as a player and then on my staff, and then to working with him. I've been every level with him in his career and in most of his adult life. So, seeing him grow mature and have that opportunity, we're really happy for him. But as far as Shane, Shane is a guy who you knew had it when you coached him, because he didn't like mistakes. He didn't like when he acted like a coach, honestly, when he played. He would get so upset when guys wouldn't know the plays. He would be so upset when guys didn't know where they're supposed to be. So you can tell what guys that you coach or want to be coaches, and he definitely was one of those guys. And to have him back, and he constantly reminds us that he's 7 for 7 as far as NCAA appearances, 4 as a player, 2 as a GA, and then 1 as full time this past year. And so he brings winning, and that is important. It's important to have people who are winners and also know your system.
Absolutely. I did almost forget. I do still want to go through some of these new guys and let you talk about them. But I guess let's start. I don't think you've been able to talk about Siri Lewis since we've talked last. So talk about what he's going to bring to the table. The last signee that you haven't spoke about.
Siri brings that toughness and that energy and enthusiasm of a combo forward. I don't think Siri knows how good he is. And, it's our job to get him to the best version of himself. But I think he's a kid who's going to let us really push him and really get him and grow him as a player and help him to get to a level he didn't think he could get. And then that's what's exciting about him, is that we know his best is ahead of him.
And then what does he do on the court that I think that you would describe to K-State fans and what they could look forward to, especially with the potential he has that you talked about?
Well, I think he's a taller Nino Williams. I think he's a good mid-range shooter. He's a relentless on the boards. He'll be a guy who you don't run stuff for, and you'll look up and he'll have a lot of points and rebounds just off sheer hustle and energy. And that's what we're hoping that we have. Now, what we hope he can grow into is something else. That can, range out to 3, and that's something that he knows he has to work on, being a better ball handler. Those are things he knows he has to work on. But what he's got right now, we are super excited about, because that energy and love for the game, he's definitely got it.
And then the next guy I want to talk about, moving into the transfers now. Let's start with Rudy Williams. I feel like you lose a guy like David Sloan, and you bring in someone who might be even more talented offensively as far as scoring the ball, and still a really good playmaker on that end.
Rudy's one of those guys where if you sit down 5 minutes with him, you'll love him.
Yeah.
He's I don't know how to describe him, but he's one of those dudes that you like, just because he's very well versed with everything. Like he can talk anything you want, he can talk. And he's a guy who talks the talk, walks the walk. He will be visibly competitive. I think that's the best way to describe him. Is he's extremely competitive, and that'll stick out when you see him play. He's a do-it-all guard. He can score it a bunch of different ways. Looking forward to just having him, because we want that defensive mindset at that lead guard again, and a guy who can do a lot of stuff on that side and not dependent on how many shots I make. We want to be able to play guys who will play hard because they love playing, and that is who Rudy is.
And then a lot of guys look at Rudy. Is he a pure point guard? Or you see him out there as a guy that you could see Nigel and Rudy out there at the same time, I'm sure, right?
I mean, you just have to wait and see how it all plays out. Like, both of them. Yeah, I mean, at some point we'll play them together, but yeah. I think you got to just see how they play, and you see what we are and what we become, because we have so many different types of players that provide a real skill set at something that it's going to be interesting to see what kind of lineups we can play. And it's fun for us to know we can go different ways and know we can have a lineup out there with all new guys, nobody who played in the purple jersey last year, but play at such a high level. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And that's what the most important thing. How hard are we going to play? Yeah. And how hard are you going to play will determine how much playing time you get.
No doubt, no doubt. So I guess the next guy to talk about is Carlton Lingard, the Temple Junior College transfer. I guess what's he bringing to the table? 6'11". I mean, got a little skill to him.
I mean, he's like a slinky. I mean, that toy is kind of like he just keeps going up. You just keep looking up, and he's long, and he's athletic. He can shoot. Obviously, we know where he can get to as a pretty high ceiling for him. And he's one of those dudes you just can't wait to get your hands on, because it's something there that's special. And again, excited about him. Great kid too. And so, we really put a premium on the kid in this recruiting class. We really put a premium on how good of a person, how they interact and play with other good players. Mm-hmm. That was something we really focused on.
And yeah, I mean, I could tell too, obviously, not only talented dudes, every single one of these guys I've spoke with has been nothing but all love, like really, really nice guys. So I can attest to that. But the last one I want to talk about, who I believe, my personal opinion, day one starter at the 5 position, Casey Ezeagu. I saw him on the sidelines on the bench this past season, and seems like he's got the fire in him, and he's got the size. So talk about Casey.
Well, Casey's definitely a body and a physical specimen. We kind of lost that ability to throw it to the post. We've been spoiled for so long when you had guys like Gip and DJ and Dean Wade, guys you can throw it to that command double teams. Yeah. Right? Hopefully Casey will grow into that. And, we still got to remember he's only going to be a sophomore, which is great for us. We get to groom him and grow him into something that we think can be a really tough out in our league, because number one, he can finish with both hands. He's got great touch. He's a really good person. Sometimes I think too friendly. I think we got to turn him into Mr. Mean a little bit. Got to get him a little.
He's meaner than that.
Meaner. Yeah, but I just think that he is. He definitely is a guy we can throw it to late and expect to get a basket from, and be disappointed when he doesn't score around the rim.
Yeah, no doubt. I think the final question I have for you, and I think I know the answer to this. We've talked about this before, but just so the people can hear it from you, and maybe it's changed, but what is the plan with that final scholarship in of that 2020 class, or is it going to roll over to next class?
We just feel, we have a great group already. Yep. And, when you look at what we have, we are double in every position. And so you always want to be able to do that, but you also want to be able to slide a guy up and down the roster. And I think we can do that too. So we think we got the right amount of size, the right amount of guard play. And, at this point, if something crazy, we would take a guy and probably sit him out. But to have 2 in 2021, probably at this time would be the most beneficial for us moving forward, just because you want to make sure that these young boys have time to grow and make sure it's the right type of growth. Not that we say it's always great to have competition, but we'd like for that competition to come a lot from this year, and then be able to groom them, and then go to the next year to bring new guys into the family.
Yep. associate head coach Chris Lowery for Kansas State basketball. He's obviously knows Zoom even better than me with Bram in the background. I know people on KSO give me crap all the time for my bare walls. Take a look at them. But it's been fun, Coach. I really appreciate the time.
No, thank you. And, we definitely can't go long again without doing these. Obviously, I enjoy doing them. And it's always good to be in Manhattan and invest in our own establishments that we've used in the past. So Early Edition and obviously Bourbon and Baker and the Tap House have been great to us. And we appreciate those places allowing us to use them for the coffees in the past.
And I'm excited to continue to use them in the future. And we have no excuse, even if we can't use those places, because we can get on the computer and do it just like this. But
absolutely.
Thank you, Coach. A lot of fun. That's Coach Lowery. You'll see him here on KSO all the time. A lot of love. Till next time, Coach.
Thanks.